Welcome back to the show today. We're talking about my favorite aspect of sports, the business side. I'm not joking. As I get older, I feel like the industrial complexes behind the things that I enjoy become more interesting to me than the things themselves. How can the things that entertain me and bring me joy exist if there's no one motivated to serve them to me? I like to think about the delicate ecosystems of a sustainable business. And the NBA is a very sustainable business. The estimated basketball-related income this year was $10.8 billion. But that doesn't really mean anything to us because it's revenue, it's not profit. The NBA has a lot of employees, it's got a lot of medical staff, it's got coaching staff, it's got to pay insurance bills, lots of stuff, hot dogs, I don't know. They don't get to take home that whole $10.8 billion. Well, here's actually the interesting thing. The players do get to take all of their cut home. The players get half that BRI. That's where the salary cap ends up coming from. It's half the estimated BRI divided by 30. There are 30 teams. So the expenses don't come out of the players' portion. And the expenses are estimated to be around $2 or $3 billion to be shared amongst all 30 owners, which is obviously a lot of money, but if you're a super rich guy, it's not actually that much money. I think the players have a significantly better deal than the owners do. They get half the business's revenue and they don't have to worry about any of the expenses. They don't even have to worry if their business is profitable or not. Theoretically, a team could be in the red after a year of bad attendance, or maybe a lawsuit or something. And as long as the total revenue is met for the league, the player's gonna get his money. They can just cash checks from the failing business. But the owners, right? They're rich, so therefore they're evil. Maybe, you know, we'll get into that later. So collectively, the NBA players make more than the NBA owners do, or governors. Just as a side note, the NBA is the only league that has adopted the term governor for the person who owns the majority of the franchise, which can be a misnomer at times, and a lot of the times it definitely is. So for the sake of clarity, forgive me, but I'm gonna be using the term owner for the video. So the owners make less money because they have to pay for all the business expenses, but there are ways that the owners can make money off a team, right? Ways to make money where that money doesn't actually go to the players at all. Yes, there are a few ways. For instance, Steve Ballmer owns the Intuit Dome. He has to share half those ticket sales with the Clippers players, but he can rent the dome out to concerts and stuff. Like if System of a Down or Blink-182 needs a venue, he gets a nice little cut of those profits. The Clippers don't see a dime. He also probably gets to go to the concert for free, I assume. But what about NBA owners who don't own their own stadium? They actually have to pay to rent their stadium. Do they have any other ways to make some money? Yeah, kind of, but they've got to be creative. Maybe they'll invest in real estate around the stadium. The Nets ownership at one point actually owned some of the Yes Network. That was their regional sports network. So basically they got to have a little contract with themselves. Or you can be like Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Rockets. He doesn't own the Toyota Center, but he puts his restaurant group's logo all over the broadcast when he can. Free advertising. So has there ever been a time where NBA owners were actually losing money? Like there wasn't enough revenue to cover the salary cap? Yes, it's happened a few times, but the most recent was 2011. At this point in time, the players were actually getting 57% of the basketball-related income. That's 7% more than they're cut now. The small market owners were saying that they were losing money from owning a basketball team, saying that after all their expenses, 43% of the cut wasn't enough to make a profit. Ironically, Michael Jordan was one of the most outspoken owners that wanted the salary cap to be lower. MJ wanted the players' cut to be 47%, 10% lower than what it was. You'd expect if there was an owner that would empathize with the players, it'd be the owner that used to be a player himself. Mickey Arison, the owner of the Heat, was one of the owners that actually sided with the players. The general consensus from the fans was that the owners should be less greedy, of course. Give the players what they're asking for. They're the ones actually playing. You know the rhetoric. Mickey Arison tweeted out, "You're barking at the wrong owner," insinuating that he was cool with the players' demands. Mickey Arison was fined $500,000 for the tweet. If you're part of a union, you have to stand with the union even if you don't agree with the union. That's the rules. The owners and the players eventually did come to an agreement though, splitting the revenue basically 50-50. Pretty much what it is now. But this was a gnarly lockout considering that the 2011-2012 season was cut down to 66 games. And another big win for the small market teams, who didn't have a lot of money, is that they were able to negotiate for harsher luxury tax penalties, meaning that the rich owners were at less of an advantage because every dollar they spent over the salary cap was going to cost them 2 or maybe more. So as a business, owning an NBA team in 2025 is about as difficult as sitting on an oil rig in Saudi Arabia. But it hasn't always been that way. NBA owners can still lose a lot of money owning a team. The NBA now makes it easy to lose money, really, by allowing a soft salary cap with a luxury tax. Luxury tax adds up and no owner is impervious to it. Even Steve Ballmer, the 9th richest man in the world, is still trying to duck under that tax line. He's got to do it every couple of years so he doesn't get hit with the repeater tax. In 2022, the Clippers were way over the luxury tax, and they'd been over the luxury tax for a very long time. They were over the tax for so long that every dollar over the tax line they went, it was $4.75. So before the deadline, they traded away Serge Ibaka. They got back Semi Ojeleye and Rodney Hood, who they pretty much cut immediately. They just needed to dump Serge Ibaka's salary. Because although Serge's contract was only for $9 million, because of the luxury tax penalty, it was costing them $30 million. And if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear hear about next year's Boston Celtics team. The Celtics paid $53 million in luxury tax this year, which is a lot. It's the fourth most in the league, but it is nothing compared to what they're going to pay next year. Given that Sam Hauser and Jason Tatum's extensions kick in, their payroll alone is going to go up by $32 million. They've been over the tax line for over 3 years, meaning they're hit with the repeater tax as well, resulting in a $233 million payroll and a $280 million luxury tax bill. That is over $500 million on their roster. And if you consider what the basketball-related income for the Boston Celtics as an organization is, it's $155 million. The Celtics are deeply in the red next year. The organization is bleeding out. So no wonder it was acquired by a private equity group who can absorb those losses. So you know I love to make fun of the Suns owner, Matt Ishbia. Personally, I'm not a fan of the guy's business practices. If you're interested in why, you'll have to subscribe to the Patreon and listen to the second episode. But I actually do think he is a pro-fan owner. Meaning for better or worse for the organization, he does stuff that fans typically like. He lets everyone in the Phoenix area watch Suns games for free. You can get Suns games on an antenna or you can log into their streaming service. There are no blacked out games for the Suns. He's also down to make a huge trade and go into the luxury tax. And he goes deep into the luxury tax. The Suns had the largest tax bill in the league by far this year. A lot of sports fans get pissed because their owner doesn't want to pay luxury tax. And they don't spend money on their team when they're in championship contention. Matt Ishbia does spend money. And he forgoes a lot of money with not having a regional sports deal and letting his fans watch for free. There's no way Matt Ishbia is making money off the Suns this year. He's probably writing off a lot of losses in 2026. And it sucks because the team wasn't even good. It was just good money after bad teams. They didn't even make the playoffs this year. By all accounts, they had a toxic locker room. They've fired 3 coaches in the last 3 years. So just because you have a benevolent, cool owner doesn't mean your team is going to be successful. They still need to understand the business side of basketball. So this year in the finals, we have 2 teams that are not in the luxury tax. This is the first time this has ever happened. At least since 2002, that's when the luxury tax was introduced. This is something I don't think is being talked about enough. Mainly because I don't think people really care about the business side of the game. I hope you do. I feel like there's a common misconception that the richest teams always win. So I think it's important to point out that the owners and investors of the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be having their cake and eating it too. They've made it to the highest level of basketball competition, and they're going to be profiting a lot by not spending a lot on their rosters. They've done this through rookie contracts, high-value role players, and team chemistry. Or in other words, trading Paul George. So the Pacers traded Paul George to the Thunder. In exchange, the Pacers got Domantas Sabonis and Victor Oladipo. They were able to flip Domantas Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton, a star player on a rookie contract. Then they were able to turn Victor Oladipo into picks, who later became Ben Shepherd and Andrew Nembhard. Then Oklahoma City, they traded Paul George too, in exchange for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, their guy on a rookie contract who's an all-star, an MVP. They also got picks. Some picks haven't even conveyed, and one of the picks was Jalen Williams, their other star player. This is the interesting change that's happening in the NBA. Teams are noticing that trading their picks and their young players for aging stars isn't a good strategy. It's not working out. I've done some videos on trade targets for my other channel, and it's shocking the meager packages that are being speculated for guys like Giannis or Kevin Durant. Obviously, these players are valuable to teams, but I think the days of trading 5 first-round picks for a guy like Mikal Bridges are done. I don't see that happening anymore. All right, thank you so much for being here. Y'all been liking the videos, and that's what's up. Be good to your moms, eat a corn dog. The Patreon, did I mention the Patreon? There's a Patreon. Check it out. It's very cheap. Go see how cheap it is. Get a weekly podcast. Be good to your mammies. Eat a corn dog.